All right, joining us now, she is entering her second season as head coach at App State. Of course, was a standout at Washington, and of course, it's become an annual get together here on the podcast. This is, I think, it's going like 4 or 5 straight years through all her different journeys from an assistant at UCF to assistant at Ohio State. I speak of our good friend Whitney Jones joining us here at In the Circle at D1 Softball, powered by 643. All right, this is going to become good traditional get together here.
Yes, it is. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure, Elo, and I'm just really appreciative of you following the journey and reaching out each year and continuing to check in on where we're at. So happy to be talking to you today.
Yeah, I think I literally follow your entire journey here since you've started coaching, with included last year, your first year as a head coach. I'm curious now that you've had time to reflect. What did you learn last year as a first year head coach?
I mean, with every team, every season, it's always a journey. And being a head coach and being in that seat, I mean, there were a lot of things last year that I couldn't have told you going into it were going to happen. And I just think I'm grateful for our staff. I'm grateful for our admin support that through everything we hit last year, from Hurricane Helene hitting us in the fall to a brand new stadium being built, just had great people around me to kind of support me through that journey and learned a lot. I mean, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about our team. I learned a lot about like our staff and just grateful for the people I'm surrounded by and the support that I have on a daily basis because wouldn't have got through it without those people. So just truly grateful.
What did you learn about the job and yourself? Because you and I have talked about over the years about this. This was a goal, is to be a head coach. Now it became reality. What
Yeah.
was it like?
I'm grateful for the people I've been around because even when I wasn't a head coach, I was trying to pay really close attention to the duties of the head coach and the responsibilities that they had. And, it's so much more than softball when you talk about fundraising and recruiting and, you talk about like just the meetings and the admin side of things and then facilities and alumni engagement. And so, also running an offense on top of that and dealing with, anywhere from 15 to 18 hitters on top of that. You're trying to manage your time and you're trying to make sure that, everybody feels cared for, connected, and that's where like our staff comes into play too. And I'm grateful for them helping out in those spaces as well. But it's just, time management and then also just like managing your people and continuing to make the main thing throughout everything that we hit last year. So I thought, with the adversity that we did hit, with just taking over a new program, the hurricane, just a very competitive preseason. I thought we did a great job leading our group through a lot of adversity last year.
Let's talk about a little bit about what you last year as a group. You went 13-11 in the Sun Belt. Really played, I think, peaked and played some of your best softball in the second
Absolutely.
half of the year. What did you see from the team there? Because you returned a lot of that personnel this year.
A ton of growth and a ton of experience. We had, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but we had numerous freshmen on the field who had never played college softball before. And then you open up at Auburn, week two, you're at South Carolina, then you're heading down to Georgia and you're at Liberty. And, they grew a lot through those experiences and we failed a lot throughout those experiences. And just to be by their side through that and talk them through that and kind of coach them through film and continuing to support them through that process. You just saw them grow, like the amount of growth they had in, I mean, a month and a half. And, we started conference, we were on the road for, I want to say like 6 weeks straight last year. So that was also another piece of it. Like our players had never gone through like a season traveling and being on the road for 6 weeks and managing school on top of all that. And so just to see us be at home, have our opening weekend and just continue to get better as a group and come together and I think one of the beautiful things about last year too is, you know, this was told to me a very long time ago, but a lot of times February superstar is never, the superstar in May. And so just to see different people shine in different times of the season was just a testament to everyone's belief and their hard work throughout the season.
You returned a lot of players from last year. You were a group. I mean, Coastal Carolina won the Sun Belt. You beat Coastal Carolina head to head. I remember it was one of the wildest series of the
Yeah.
year. 2 out of 3. I would imagine that has to give you a lot of confidence as a team coming into this year.
It gave our team a lot of confidence. I think even that being our last home weekend going into conference tournament, and a lot of our people hadn't been, there might have been one senior that had Sun Belt Conference tournament experience. So as a head coach, you're like, how's your team going to respond going down to Troy? And, no one's been there before. Are all the nerves going to kick in? Are we just going to play the game the way we know how to play the game? And that Coastal series gave our team a ton of confidence. Like going down to Troy and having a bye that first round, I mean, just hearing the things that were coming out of our players' mouth of just confidence and belief, I was like, man, like we're in a good spot. And one thing to take away from last year was just our team's expectation to win. Like they expect to win and they want to compete at a high level. And you just feel that hunger this year with our group coming off of last year.
Let's talk about this team you've got coming back in this offense. Obviously, you help run the offense. How would you describe the identity of this offense here in year two under you?
We're more dynamic. I mean, we have power and we have speed. And, we're returning two all Sun Belt offensive contributors for our offense. And we're returning Soph on the mound as well, another all Sun Belt selection. And so I'm excited because we're bringing in a couple more lefties in our lineup. So we got a little more lefty dynamic. We got more speed. We still got our power returning. And so I think we're in a great spot. We added four transfers, and we got two freshmen that are going to be key contributors too. So I think our offense is going to continue to build off last year and try and break some of the records that we broke last year this year.
Yeah, you guys, you hit a lot of doubles as a team there. I mean, just talk. I mean, do you feel your offense was ahead of schedule? Did you, or was it right where you thought it might be?
I I would say come conference, there were a couple of things coming out of preseason and just overall, like the strikeouts might have been a little higher than I wanted last year. And I even told our team this year, we have more speed this year in our lineup. So like putting pressure on defenses, and we don't want to take the long ball away from our offense, but we just want to continue to put pressure on people, and having speed allows you to hopefully steal more bases this year. Like that's our goal too. So just overall, I think we're returning the power, but we're also incorporating a little bit more speed and a little more lefty righty dynamic than we had last year.
Of course, when you look at last year, you look at the offense. The person that certainly came up to mind was Michaela McLean, who hit 381, 14 homers, 50 RBIs. You have others returning, but just talk about her and then the rest of the returners you have offensively.
Mac has been a difference maker for our program, like coming in and taking over this program and, trying to get a couple pieces in the portal last summer before we got going. And, Mac had kind of sent an email, and then I like watched a little bit of film, and there were things that I watched in film and I was like, dang, this girl's a really good athlete. And you go back and look at her freshman numbers and you're like, it's in there. Like she had really good freshman numbers. She had tons of stolen bases. You go and watch some film and you're like, there's some athleticism in there. Like I saw her swing from her freshman year and I was like, okay, like I really think she could be a key contributor here. And so she gets here and it's not too far from home. Great fit for her as far as, just college town. She loves the environment here, but she's just been like a confidence builder for our program. Like she carries herself with confidence. She knows that like she's a good softball player and she still works hard even though she is. And she just brings that presence and confidence. Like her being in the leadoff last year just set the tone for us game in and game out. And she also, can bump for a base hit and she can hit a double. She can steal bases. And so when I think about Michaela McLean, I'm like, this is the type of Mountaineer, like offensive piece that we're looking for and we want to continue to keep building off of.
Yeah, I mean, you could win the Sun Belt Player of the Year if she clicks like she did last year there.
Absolutely.
Who
Absolutely.
who are some of the other players you mentioned? You're going to add some speed. Who are some
Yeah.
other players you depend on offense to protect her, and then obviously some new faces.
Yeah. So Grace Barrett, I said GB, she goes by GB, but Grace Barrett's another first team All Sun Belt that, she's played almost every inning of her career, just about. And just the experience she has going into her junior year and the moment she's like stepped up big time. And I just see her continuing to be a huge contributor to both sides of the ball for us. And just her leadership going into her junior year now is just continuing to grow as well. So I expect big things out of Grace Barrett this year. And Leah Gore was a freshman last year, hitting, in our 3-4, like heart of our lineup. And she's just done a great job for us. She's a competitor. She just gets out there and competes and gets after it. And I expect her to be kind of in the heart of the lineup as well. And we picked up Emily Ching from FAU, an infielder, and she's a power bat for us as well. And she's come in and just fit right in with what we're doing and what we're building. And I see her having a great year for us as well. And then Maddie McIntyre is also a lefty power bat that like turned on once conference hit last year, and she was huge for us. And so when I also talk about the speed, you're returning Julia Girk in center field, who had an awesome year. Like she can hit for power, she's fast. She locks down center field. She sells out. She ran into a wall last weekend, and I'm like sprinting on the field, like, is she okay? And her parents are like, she's done this like 50 times in her life. Like, but just she's all out all the time, and we love that about her. And then we added Dakota Daniel from Alabama A&M. She's a kind of triple threat lefty outfielder. And we also added Kennedy Bradshaw, who was at Gaston College right down the mountain, and she's just come in and worked her butt off. And she's another person that can kind of hit for power, and she runs really well. And we're excited to see what she's able to do for us this year as well.
Pitching wise, Sophie kind of led you the way there, had
Yeah.
16 wins on the season. What can you say about the pitching staff going into this season? Do you expect it to be more balanced, so some names to step up? How do you see it for playing out?
I expect Sophie to still be a key contributor to our pitching staff this year. I think her experience last year, her being a lefty and being a very unique lefty, I think elevates everybody else on our staff. And we're adding Cam Fisher, a freshman from Connecticut, who was the Gatorade Player of the Year this past spring in Connecticut. And I mean, she's the face you want on the mound. Like she's just a fierce competitor. She wants the ball. She goes right at the hitter, and I'm excited. I mean, she's been our hitters the first time they faced her, we're like, wow, okay, here we go. So I expect Cam Fisher to be a huge contributor for us as well on the mound this year. And we also added Gabby Otten, a transfer from Boston College, who will be joining us mid-year, and she's working her butt off right now where she's at, and I'm excited for her to join the team in January. And we're returning Belle Berardi and Ava B. Mustafer, who are also working really hard. And I think all of our pitchers are different in their own way, which makes them all better. And so I'm just excited to see how we continue to grow um, and balance off each other really well. Because Sophie threw a lot of innings for us last year. And
Yeah,
so, Sophie and Cam and like every pitcher, really, they're all so different. So I think it's going to be great to have different looks come in and follow each other and be effective in that way.
yeah. Sophie threw 163 and two thirds, went 16 and 10
Yeah.
to lead your staff there.
Yes.
Uh, Talk about your coaching staff and how that's evolved here and what you got going as you enter your second season and the responsibilities you give them.
Yeah, our coaching staff has been phenomenal. Like I mentioned at the very beginning, like I can't do what I do, or we can't be successful without everything they do on a daily basis. And everybody on staff is returning this year. We do have a new director of ops, and our director of ops from last year, Courtney Ogle, she's transitioned into an assistant coaching role for us. And so we're all hands on deck with everything, but we all have each our specialties and the kind of areas we focus on the most. And for myself, it's the offensive piece. So I'm over the offense and the hitters. And then Coach Matt, returning in his second year, he's taken over our defense completely and infield and outfield unit. Coach Alex, also going into second year, is primarily with the pitching staff and running that group. And then Coach O, Courtney Ogle, she's taken over helping out with all areas, but her primary focus is our catchers. She was a catcher. She's passionate about catcher development. And I think that's one area that sets our program a little bit apart, is a lot of programs don't have that person on staff that's dedicated to catcher development. And that's such a huge piece for pitchers to have, those catchers working with them and trying to steal strikes for them and learn them. And so to have her really one-on-one in those spaces with our catchers has been super key for their development. And we all, I mean, Court and Alex both throw BP to the hitters. Matt's around the hitters all the time too. So we really try and keep everybody in the same spaces, and great coaches are great coaches regardless of what they're coaching. So yeah, we have a great dynamic. And then Liam Brady is our GA. He was with us last year as a student manager, and so he's continuing to grow in his role. And we have hit tracks this year with the biomechanics feature, and we're trying to like utilize that and get information as well for their growth and their development. So we're just trying to elevate what we're doing here. We didn't have the hitting facility last year, and now we do. So we're excited about just the continued growth with what we have access to.
I remember last year we spoke. You said you probably were going to run the offense, but and see how it goes. Being a
Yeah,
head with the head coach title and running the offense.
yeah.
How has that balancing act of running the offense, but being the head coach, being the CEO of the program, being the face of the program. I've noticed you are everywhere on social media. You go to a lot of the App State sporting events. You go to a lot of events in general. So that's part of being a head coach.
Yeah.
How have you balanced that out? How's that going?
I mean, different seasons are a little bit busier than other seasons. And for us, like, I'm just really proud to represent App State. I'm really proud of our athletic department. I'm proud of the coaches I get to work by alongside every day. And, our athletic director says it all the time, you got to give to get. And so we just want to show up and support our fellow coaches, our fellow student athletes. And I think it's really important for our players to show up to other sporting events and support other teams as well. And it's bigger than us. And if we can show just a culture of, support and we all want to see each other win here. Like, I think that just speaks volumes to our whole athletic department and App State in general and the community that we represent. And everybody's on board. So we want to see everybody win.
You mentioned the facilities moments ago. For those who may not be aware, give an update on the facilities because that was a big part of you coming there
Yeah.
and their commitment that they're doing to softball.
It's been a game changer. And even thinking about going into year two versus year one, like going into this year, we're established. We're in our new stadium. We have the hitting facility. Last year, we didn't have the hitting facility. We had an indoor, but it wasn't just ours. And last year, we started practice on the old softball field, which was still 185 in the corners. And you're doing cuts and relays and team defense, and it's just not the same. It's not, the timing of the game and the way plays evolve is not quite the same as 200 in the corners and 220 in center. And also just having an all turf surface has been a game changer for us with, occasional weather or whatever we kind of are up against. It's been huge. I've just been excited to have like all of our stuff in one place. Our team room and locker room are on the way. So going into next year, that should be completed as well. And the whole complex over by where our new stadium's at, it has track, it has tennis. They're building some on-campus housing over there as well. So it's going to be, when it's all done, it's going to be one of the nicest facilities. And to have the opportunity to potentially live over there for our players too would be awesome. So we're excited to be over there and getting after it every day.
What's the timetable for everything to be complete next year, or what's the timetable?
I would say going into fall of next year, team room and locker room will definitely be complete. I don't know about the housing quite yet in that space when that'll be done, but we're kind of in phase three of that
That's
space up there. So the hitting facility finished this summer. We got hit tracks installed and we've got it equipped with all the things we wanted in the hitting facility. And now we're kind of moving on to the indoor tennis building, and like our left field area is where the team room and locker room are going to be housed. And so they're working on it every day right now. So it should be soon.
okay. All right. So when we do this pod next year, you're gonna have to show me, give me the tour. Then you might have to
Oh,
give me a tour,
absolutely.
some
Yeah.
tour there. That's pretty good. But that's
Okay.
got to be huge because I know that was a big thing when you came there about all that commitment, which is so pivotal in today's college athletics to show that
Absolutely.
to the student athletes.
Absolutely. It's been a game changer for us in recruiting. I mean, to be able to, and the backdrops being in the mountains and just the investment that our athletic department is putting into softball is incredible. Like they want to see us win and they want to support us and they want to help us get what we need to compete at a high level because we're expecting to win some championships here at ELO soon.
I know you are. I know you are. And certainly the Sun Belt event last year was any indication it'll be as wild as ever is. Top
Yeah.
to bottom, it was last year. Coastal certainly ending up winning the conference tournament. Yeah, Louisiana Monroe had a good year there. Texas
Mhm.
State,
Marshall. Yeah.
Marshall, great year with Coach Zirkle there. What did you learn about year one in the Sun Belt, being involved in that, and just kind of the roller coaster that the league was a year ago?
It just was like ever changing. I mean, it came all the way down to the last weekend last year. And I think we have great coaches in the Sun Belt who are invested in like seeing our conference continue to elevate and compete at a high level. And I've just enjoyed, coaching alongside and against these other coaches in this conference. And I think they're very passionate about the game. I think they have really bright futures. I think we're all very much like working in the same direction to continue to elevate our conference and compete at a high level. So I enjoy our group of head coaches and I'm enjoying the Sun Belt and how competitive we're going to continue to be.
What do you think of the conference tournament format? What's it looking like this year, and who's hosting this year the conference?
This year, Louisiana is hosting the
Okay,
conference tournament,
yeah.
and I believe format will be the same as far as the 10 teams that go and the top six getting a bye. I There's a lot of pieces with the Sun Belt right now. I know quite a few of our programs picked up some transfers, so I think it's a little kind of, I think a lot of people that were at the top are going to continue to be competitive, and those who maybe weren't at the top, you just never know. You never know what freshmen or transfers are going to come in, and what growth happens. So it'll be fun to follow our opponents throughout preseason and just see kind of how where everyone shakes out at.
Well, and that was the crazy. I mean, JMU, for example, the run to the championship game was literally outs away
Yeah,
from winning the championship game.
yeah,
And what was exciting, I think, for the league was that championship game was on linear, was on ESPN2.
absolutely.
Mother Nature decided to play havoc with that game, but the exposure of the league from a linear for the championship game, obviously ESPN Plus. I watched a lot of your games as I follow you because I just follow you everywhere you're going. But I can because of ESPN Plus. I would imagine that's been a game changer as well. It helped you from a recruiting standpoint.
Absolutely. When we're able to tell parents that they can watch their daughters play regardless of being here, that's a huge sell. I mean, not every parent can be at every single game, and to be able to still watch on ESPN and watch their daughters compete and love playing the game is huge. And it goes back to recruiting too. Like you're able to kind of recruit nationally and sell to parents that they'll be able to watch their kids play and compete. And that's huge. That's huge for us. And
Was there a moment or an area in the as a head coach where you were doing something and then you realize, oh, that's what Coach Tar meant when I was either a player slash or an assistant or Coach Bear. That's what that moment that just froze on you. Like, oh, geez, now I get it. Now I sound like them now.
yeah, there's things being around the head coaches I've worked for that, I've heard comments be made about like you don't really know until you're in the seat, and I 100% agree. There's just certain things that you manage and you oversee and you're responsible for that you don't know until you're in the seat. And sometimes you have to say no when you don't want to say no, and sometimes your assistants don't quite understand why, but it's just, until you're in the seat and everything's on you and you're responsible for everything, you
Yeah.
don't really quite understand some of the decisions that are made at times. And so, definitely understand now what they were talking about when they made those comments for sure.
Well, it's a unique dynamic with your assistants because you've been in those shoes of being an
Yeah.
assistant.
Yeah.
Now you're the one that
Mhm.
has to have all the answers there. So how's that dynamic being on the other side?
I think, well, our staff's very young. I'm the oldest on our staff right now, and Coach Matt and I go back to, not playing at Washington, but being on staff at Washington together. He was a GA when I was in the volunteer role. And so I think for me, it's just continuing to like be by their side through this process. I mean, they're like Coach Alex, he came from LSU, and this was last year was his first year taking over a pitching unit and a pitching committee and calling pitches for our games. And so it's just kind of like being alongside them through this process and helping them navigate the spaces and navigate running their units and supporting them through that.
I know as you're finalizing your schedule and all that, you've got a challenging non-conference schedule. How has the scheduling portion of the job how's that been going for you from that standpoint and learning how the scheduling part of the equation?
Yeah, I feel very fortunate regionally being located where we're at. We're close to a lot of schools. Like even last year, we opened up at Auburn, which was about a little between 7 and 8 hour trip, and that's probably like our longest preseason trip. And then getting to South Carolina was not difficult, or getting to Georgia. We have a lot of players from Georgia too, so that was great to kind of go down there and have a lot of our families show up. We've had great support as far as people traveling to support our team and our players and their daughters. And then Liberty wasn't a far drive either. So I think scheduling, we're fortunate to have a lot of options within our region. And so I think I've bused or actually flew less in these last like 2 years than I probably ever have in like college softball, just being able to get to a lot of places. So that's been really nice, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
Busted there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of bus trips when you're taking the bus trips? Is it a quiet bus trip? Does somebody get is in charge of picking out a movie? How does that work?
Oh, there's movies involved. You have your karaoke every once in a while too, especially
Oh,
for, yeah, play a little bit of music, have some fun. And then, sometimes there's some study hall involved. Sometimes it depends. But usually game day bus rides are pretty hype going into getting ready to get off the bus and go compete.
So when there's karaoke, are you getting involved there? Are you letting the players get involved? Only exclusive? How's that working?
I do my part. If,
Oh,
you can't expect them to do things you aren't willing to do. So, I get in there when I need to and participate as well. But
did you pick that up from somewhere else during your time as an assistant, or is this like a new thing you picked up?
as far as just doing karaoke,
Yeah.
I've done it at previous schools that I've been at for sure. I feel like just about every school I've been at, there's been some form of it in some
Yes.
capacity. Yeah.
That,
It's
see, that's
not,
what
yeah, yeah.
that's what I was alluding to. Yeah, I know one particular spot that still it still does that.
Yeah.
Because I was on that bus recently and I was asked to do it, and thankfully somebody
Oh.
stepped in and said, "No, no, he's been here a long time. He doesn't have to."
You got
We
out
don't.
of
We
you got your
That was
pass.
I have my cute card there. Trust me, I told them you don't want that. That's not that's not going to help the exercise here, folks. You all doing it. You're doing a good job yourself. So no, but hey, listen, that's part of the bonding
It
on the
is.
road, right? Like that's the whole purpose of it.
Absolutely. And getting uncomfortable, getting
Yeah.
uncomfortable and doing things you don't want to do sometimes. So it's fun.
Last last thing before we let you go, because you've been kind of here with your busy schedule. As the fall evolves, you have games coming up and everything, and then before you know it, February will be here. What are a couple of keys and things you'll be looking for from this group that you think will be keys to having success this upcoming year?
I think it's just going to be continuing to take advantage of opportunities. And like I said, we have depth this year. Like our team is really competitive. We have a lot of people that were on the field last year and want to continue to be on the field and contributing. And so I think it's just going to be key that we take care of the things that are most important to us. And, it goes back to, for us, like dominant pitching and fundamentally sound defense, and then being efficient as an offense and scoring runs. So we're a team and everybody has the capability to contribute in any of those spaces. And so just want to see us come together and play great softball on both sides of the ball and continue to grow and learn from our experiences. And it'll be really exciting to see our newcomers like come in and see what role they play for our team this year.
That is App State head coach Whitney Jones joining us here at In the Circle at D1 Softball, powered by 643. Fourth year in a row we've done this. Dave, you're on the pod here. You got a streak going.
Looking forward to more.
Looking forward to more. Hey, listen, always a pleasure to catch up. I follow you very closely there, and proud of you. And keep up the good stuff. And we'll stay in touch. But thanks for always taking the time and talking to us here at In the Circle.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate you.